Most important, get the logs on the fire to keep the room nice and warm when we're practicing as well. So, welcome to week 8 of the Tai Chi fundamentals, mind-body connection and resilience. So I want to go over this week the lessons that we've had in the past 7 weeks and a reminder of all the things that you've learned that you can then put into your Tai Chi practice for that mind-body connection and increasing your resilience as well. Now, that's going to be really important at the moment with everything that's going on around the world. If you were to have a look at the Tai Chi practice outside of the movements that you're doing in a set, and you have a look at the principles that you've got, or the techniques and methods that you can use in everyday life, the most important part was what we learned in that lesson 1, which was entering Wuji, or entering the way. And it was said by Jan San Fung, the originator of Tai Chi Chuan, that to practice Tai Chi, one must first enter the way. Entering the way is physical, mental, emotional relaxation. And that means when we're practicing, we want to get the body into a place where the muscles can be relaxed, where we're not having to put lots of effort into anything that we do, so that your Tai Chi practice comes from the lack of efforting. When we're efforting, we're having to put a lot of energy into something, and that can use up our resources. At the moment as well, we want to make sure that we've got a lot of resources and a lot of energy so that you can use that to improve your immune system and improve your mental clarity and also your calmness, your inner calmness. And that's what the Tai Chi practice is going to help you with. And that all came from entering the way. So just a reminder of entering the way. Entering the way was the feet were parallel. That releases the muscles in the lower back. You release and relax the knees, so the knees aren't jammed back and locked. The waist is loose, and the sacrum is just gently tucked underneath. Not so much so that you tense any of the muscles in the legs. The muscles in the legs still want to remain relaxed. You're trying to look for that neutral standing, the place of the least amount of resistance and the least amount of effort. If you stand upright where the weight distribution is evenly over the feet and the knees are off lock and the sacrum is just a tiny bit tucked in and the space between the hips and the ribs and the chest is open, the arms are relaxed down at the sides of the body, the chin is slightly tucked in and the jaw is slightly open, then you're in a place of least resistance. Now, it might be that if you've got tightness in the arms or tightness in your shoulders because of whatever it is you've been doing before, that standing in an upright position can feel a little bit odd, sometimes a little bit uncomfortable if there's muscular tension. But it's really your body's way of just showing you where you're holding tensions. And the next part of the Tai Chi is not to worry about doing anything about that, but focusing your attention on your breath. By breathing gently in through the nose and gently out through the mouth, not only relaxes the body, wakes up the parasympathetic nervous system that we've spoken about as well, but it also brings you very much to the here and now. The here and now being present in your body, present in the moment, and noticing or being aware of what's going on. And what's going on without having to react to what's going on allows you to relax mentally as well. When we start getting the cortex involved with worry or stress or anxiety about things that have happened in the past or are happening in the future that haven't even happened yet, then we start to disappear from the here and now. Our mind wanders off somewhere else and actually causing us stress. And it's not stress that you're making in your body in terms of that your body's making the stress, but your mind's making the stress, the cortex is making the stress that we end up feeling in the body. You might feel that as muscular tension or emotional tension or feelings that you might get around the stomach. Often when people are worried about something, it upsets the stomach. And so the nervous system knows that you're being worried, and that's often because of the tension that we put in the body. When the muscles in the face are tight, because we're stressed about something, so the forehead gets tense, the muscles in the cheek gets tense, our muscles around the eyes get tensed as well. That sends the signal to the brain that our body is under stress. So it gets ready for that fight. That's that fight or flight where you get those adrenal releases in the body, which can give you enough energy that might be required to run away or fight or deal with something. But after that event, we get very exhausted. We continue to do that. We continue to put ourselves in those stressful situations. We end up with depletion, energy depletion. We just feel like we don't have the energy to do anything as well. And that's actually vital resources that you're using in your body that could be used to improve your health or overcome illness. So if we're being attacked by a virus, then it would become obvious that we would want our nervous system, our mind-body connection, the brain, the nervous system, the muscles, the organs, to be able to deal with whatever's coming in the best way. So one of the ways that the past masters found was that when you entered a qigong state of mind or practicing Wu Ji, that the mind and body could be relaxed, the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system could be switched on, the sympathetic nervous system switched off, and then that mind-body connection happens. So you don't have to try and make a mind-body connection, because just by relaxing mentally, by focusing on your sensations in the body or the breath and relaxing the muscles, relaxing the breath, then you have that mind-body connection. That happens already. The resilience comes out of keep on coming back into that Wu Ji state. When you keep coming back into that Wu Ji state, then the mind isn't disturbed. When the cortex is thinking about the things in the future and we're worrying about that and we're giving energy to that, that's when things start becoming disturbed. And so Jan Sunfeng wrote this treatise about the Tai Chi, which is first enter the way, stabilize nature. And the natural part of our body is to remain relaxed. When you look at a baby, nice and relaxed, face smiling, breathing into the abdominal area, everything's loose and working really well. That would be an ideal state to get that body back in before things start to come into our life and change the way we sort of think about things and the way that we react about things as well. So we're coming back into that stabilizing nature. First enter the way, stabilize nature, and then you're training your energy as well. One of the ways to train the energy is through the Dantian breathing that we've been doing, or the abdominal breathing, or even actually just standing upright and relaxing. That naturally allows the energy to come down to that Dantian area. Another way of developing your energy, training your energy, is by moving in the Tai Chi with that mind-body connection. Because where our mind goes, energy flows. So if we're nice and relaxed and we're looking to actually get the muscles, the body, the movements to move in a nice relaxed way, and we're focusing on the movements that we're doing, well, the mind is allowing the energy to flow to those different areas. So where the mind goes, energy flows. So right now, my energy is flowing through my arms to my palms, and it's flowing through my body. So if your mind is going somewhere else, and that somewhere else is into a place of anxiety or worry, well, that's where your energy's going. And so you're starting to feed that thing. That thing becomes more alive for you. So simply, the entering the qigong state of mind, or entering the way, is a way for you to be able to stabilize nature and accumulate that energy. Accumulate that energy when we're training the energy. And then he spoke about nourishing the heart. Well, that came from the practice when you smile from the heart. Smiling from the heart is like smiling from the face. If the facial muscles are relaxed and you're smiling from your face, well, that tells your brain that you're in a happier state or more relaxed state, and that's going to start releasing those important endorphins through the body that you need, to feel good as well. So just by entering the way and smiling from the heart, we're already releasing the right chemicals in the body to be in a better physical state and a better mental state as well, and a better emotional state. So all these really simple things that you've learned are key practice for everyday life. So those are the important things to remember. So the first essential of the 10 essentials was the no thoughts, so not purposely thinking about anything. The next one was to loosen the muscles, okay? So to relax the muscles, or what was described as not tighten muscles, okay? So if we're not tightening the muscles by holding ourselves fixed, if we're holding ourselves fixed to something, whether or not it's physically fixed or the idea of something, then already we're limiting ourselves. So Tai Chi is a way of not limiting yourself. Bruce Lee spoke about don't limit yourself. So when we're unlimited, it means that we have that freedom and flow to go into anything that we want and respond to something in the most ideal way in the moment. And that becomes a really important part of your Tai Chi practice as well, because you're using your Tai Chi for practical purposes, not just as a physical exercise. It's so much more than a physical exercise. So we've relaxed the mind by not thinking about anything. We've relaxed the body by not tightening the muscles. And we've loosened our waist as well by first of all adjusting the waist, but then we loosen the waist through the different movements. And now if you remember the warm-up movements we did just to get a gauge of ourselves and start to get things moving around was circling the waist. So if you circle the waist, you get a sense of what it's like in the waist to move around. You get a sense of what it's like in your knees and your ankles and your shoulders and your spine, and every part of you is moving as you're circling your waist. So any tensions that are in your body are going to start to show up. If you gently swing from one side to the other, then you get an idea of how freely your spine turns. So just gently move from one side to the other, like this. And it's like, okay, my spine's moving fairly freely. Because we want the spine to be able to move freely, independent of the waist, so that the core is open. And we want the waist to be able to move freely with the body. Because when you're stepping out into things like the grasp in the sparrow's tail, and you come up and you step out, and then from here as you step out, the waist is loose and turns into the movement, that everything is nice and soft. Now, if I tighten the muscles in my waist, so the muscles are tight, and the waist then is not loose, then as I start to move, everything becomes mechanical. Every move that I do is mechanical. If I tighten the muscles in my arms, everything becomes mechanical here. And then I'm using physical strength to do my Tai Chi. Well, Tai Chi isn't about using physical strength. It's actually about that mind-body connection and allowing yourself to flow freely with whatever it is that's coming your way. So the loose waist then was a way. We also introduced the figure of 8 movement. So we had the feet slightly wider apart, and we started to move around in a figure of 8. And as you move around in a figure of 8, it allows your waist and your hips and your knees, your ankles, your spine, and your shoulders to take a slightly different movement than when you're doing a rotational movement. Here you can find yourself doing the figure of 8 on the plane, so on the horizontal plane. So you can do a figure of 8 movement like this, and then you can go the other way as well. Gives your brain something to do to figure out what it's like to move one way and another. Because often we have a preference. We move one side easier than the other. So when we do a figure of 8 one way like this, and then from going this way, we then go the other way, we're allowing things to equal out. We're getting that equilibrium, that yin-yang harmony as well. At the same time, you're still introducing that looseness into your waist. And then we looked at what it's like to move from different parts of our body so you can get that mind-body connection at different levels. Actually, when you do this, you find that you've got a greater control and awareness of your body than maybe that you realized. So if we were to do a figure of 8 but moving from our ankles, the figure of 8 might be a lot smaller and it would move differently. So you just do the figure of 8 from your ankles, like this. Just from the ankles, and you can slow it down. You don't have to go too fast, you can slow it down. Just see what that's like. And just have a little play and an exploration as part through your movements, just to see whether or not there's any tension in your ankles. Tai Chi requires a good flexibility in the ankles. So moving around on your ankles allows the muscles, the tendons, the bones and the joints to start freeing the tensions around that area. And then if you were to do the figure of 8 now from your knees, then you're like, okay, that's different. Because now my mind, my awareness, is at my knees. The body is moving more. Now what about the hips? If you were to move a figure of 8 now through and from your hips, of course, the movement is different, isn't it? You've got a different part of your body now moving for you. It's very different than moving from your ankles. If you're looking at the video, it's obvious. When you're doing it yourself, moving from your ankles, it's very different than moving from your waist. So when your waist is loose here, like this, go the other way as well, then you start to feel, okay, things are freeing up. Well, if you were to move then a figure of 8 from your shoulders, that would feel very different as well. Now, Tai Chi generally, when you're moving around, isn't something that moves from the shoulder. When we, when you move the arms out into a movement, it's not because you are throwing your arms or really moving from your shoulders, you're actually moving from your waist. So if we did Tai Chi from the shoulders, whilst it can feel quite pleasant and loose, it's not really the way that we practice Tai Chi. If we were to move from our waist, but allow the arms to move, as we move from the waist, the arms move effortlessly. And then everything is all joined up. If you move from the whole of the body now, as you start to move the arms and the hands around, it doesn't matter really what's going on here, whether or not you do this, just allow the arms to move freely. Just in a wave, yeah? And then there's a sinking. There's a sinking and a rising. Very good. And then you can just come back into that Wu Ji again. Come back in that Wu Ji, and you might find that the movement still happens a little bit, like this gentle breeze swaying willow that we spoke about. And Tai Chi is a mind-body energy practice. So when you move in your Tai Chi, you do develop your energy flow. So when you come back to stillness or your Wu Ji stance, sometimes energy's still moving, body's still moving, and you just enjoy that gentle sway. It's very good for you. And then you just gently think of the Dantian area. The Dantian area coming down 2-3 inches below the navel and 2-3 inches in. That's your energy center, what's called the Chi Hai. That's where all the energy accumulates as part of your practice when you come back into that Wu Ji stance. So you're building a greater bank of energy for yourselves as well. So then back into that Wu Ji stance, which is a standing meditation, and enjoying that standing meditation. And you would do that for several minutes. Today's just a review of all the different things that we've done. So you would enter the way for a few minutes, then make some exercise, and then you can do the coming back into Wu Ji for several minutes as well. The other thing that we've been practicing is the abdominal breathing. The hand comes just below the navel, so the palm over palm, and then you're breathing into the abdominal area and then you breathe out through the mouth. So you breathe in through the nose, and then you pause, and then you breathe out through the mouth. Pause. You breathe in through the nose, pause, and then you breathe out through the mouth. Pause. And then after you've done this maybe 20, 30 times, you drop the hands to the sides of the body, eyes gently closed, and you're remaining fairly still in Wu Ji. And you don't have to think about anything at this point, but if your mind starts to wander, just gently become aware of that Dantian area, the Qi Hai area, and so that you can remain in flowing stillness in the Wu Ji. And this really helps center yourself. Being centered whilst things are going on in turmoil is a really important part in life, so that you don't become distracted, disrupted, and things become imbalanced as well. So that yin-yang harmony, practice of centering, allows you to remain calm in the moment as well. But of course, you've got to practice that in order to become more effective at it as well. So make that practice as a way to prepare yourself for centering and calmness. And also, of course, it changes that brain activity, it calms the brain down, allows the mind to become clearer, and it allows the nervous system to be more at rest, which again is going to be helpful for your immunity. So all of this is so far helpful exercises, not just to calm things down, but to wake up the right systems for you as well. And then we wanted to get the muscles nice and loose. So one of the ways that we get the muscles loose was doing the tapping. So the tapping, you can pause on the joints that we need to free up any of the blockages or tensions. And of course, this loosens the muscles as well. And so you go down on the inside of the arm and up on the outsides of the arms. Down on the inside, up on the outside. And then we tapped down the chest as well. Also on the Dantian area. And then also down the sides of the legs. Then on the insides of the legs. Good. And then on the back side, back of the legs, inside of the legs, side of the legs. Good. And then the back side as well, loosening the muscles around the back side. The glutes can get quite tight, so it's good to loosen those glutes. And then either side of the spine. Good. Very good. And then just shake off as well. So this was just a way to get the muscles loose. And then another way, which wakes not only the muscles getting loose, but it wakes up the nervous system for you in a good way, is to turn the hands. So you're turning the hands, and then the arms are starting to get relaxed, shoulders are getting relaxed, and then you can shake the arms, shake the hands, shake the arms, shake the shoulders, and shake the whole body. Good. Shaking right the way through the legs, everything's becoming loose. So you could practice that for a little while to start getting loose, and then rotating the feet and the ankles around, including the knee and the hip, just to get everything nice and loose into the hip as well. And then we practiced on the other side, rotating around. Very good. Getting everything nice and loose on the other side. Very good. And just come back into that swinging and allow yourself to make contact with the body. Good. Just getting a sense of that looseness. Very good. Just get a feel of what it's like for you now. And for me, it feels a lot looser than when I started the practice. And so if you're practicing this every day, which I really highly recommend that you do, then you're going to get this increase of changes in your body. If you only do it now and again, then you're really not going to get much change in the body as a result of your Tai Chi practice. The more regular you practice, the more benefits that you get. So we've gone through the Wu Ji, we've gone through the relaxation, We've gone through the breathing techniques, the smiling from the heart, so we've entered the way, we've stabilised nature, we've accumulated the energy, we've nourished the heart and trained the spirit. Now the training the spirit happens by you entering that Qigong state of mind and not getting disturbed by anything that's happening outside of you or internally in terms of the cortex or disrupting your equilibrium, disrupting your inner calmness. So we then did the flexibility exercises, so the feet are shoulders width apart, the arms at the sides of the body, and then we do 3 levels to the earth. So coming down, good, and then coming up, breathing in, and then breathing out, good, breathing in, good, and breathing out, breathing in, good, and then the arms come down to the sides of the body, and then the next one was the low hand touches the ground. So we're coming forwards and touching the toes. Now I know for some of you, sometimes that if the muscles in the back are tight or the muscles in the legs are tight, touching the toes might not be available to you. And other days you find, oh, I can move more freely. So if the muscles are tight as you go down to touch the toes, remember we did the kidney drumming. So we drummed like this, came up. So this just loosens the muscles in the lower back, either side of the spine, not actually on the spine. Breathing out as you go down. Breathing in as you come up. And then you can see what it's like as you come down. Now, there's a number of ways of coming forward in the low hand touches the ground exercise. One of the ones that we were looking at was that if you thought about the hip as a hinge, and you literally hinged forwards from here, it makes a lot of muscular tension. So as you hinge forwards, as you come down to the toes, it might be a lot harder because already the muscles are on lockdown. One of the advantages of Tai Chi is to get a free flow and movement so energy can start flowing through your body, and that makes your movements more fluid and smooth. So we did a practice which was imagine that you had water flowing through your body, and that water came up over the top of the head and started to flow down. And as it came up, and it started to flow down. And as it came up, started to come up and then over and started to flow down. And so that your movement wasn't about hinging, it was actually about flowing. So it became a continuous flow, like this, a continuous flow. So that you didn't actually have to move from your tight muscles. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a second as well, but just for now, see what it feels like to flow and move with more ease. Because that's part of the point of your Tai Chi practice, is to be able to practice flowing and moving with more ease. Because if you can flow and move with more ease, when you notice tensions or tightness in your body, you've got some tools in your tool bag that you can do something about that. So, when you flow not from your joints or your muscles, but you flow more from the energy that's flowing around inside, or the space that you've got in your body, it moves much differently. So if you were to test this out gradually, so first of all, move from your muscles, so tighten your muscles for a moment in your body, and move from those tight muscles. So move from those tight muscles, so maintain that tightness in your muscles, and as you grip your muscles and you move from those tight muscles and you continue to come down, just see how far you can come down and how easy that is to come down. I mean, even for me at the moment, I'm finding it hard to reach my toes with my tight muscles. I'm probably coming to here, I'm at the maximum of what my muscles really want to come to. So your muscles have this natural, voluntary range of movement. A voluntary range of movement is where you will come to before your body puts the brakes on. Now we can go from that voluntary range of movement into an extended range of movement by getting to our end place and then stretching ourselves out in order to be able to touch our toes. But that takes efforting. And because we're efforting, we're using up a lot of that resources that we've already got. And also, when we're putting a lot of effort into something, there's tension. And when there's tension, we're already starting to bring in and build in blockages into the body. So when we're efforting to touch our toes, because we're coming from a place of tension, it's much harder to get down to touch your toes. Now, if you don't have any tension in your body because you've got great flexibility already, doing this exercise as we're talking about at the moment might not actually make much sense to you because you haven't got the tensions there. But if you have got tensions in the muscles and the flexibility is such that ordinarily if you tighten your muscles, try to touch your toes, you can't do it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Which is that we come from that place of tension, everything becomes much harder. And that's the same in life as well. Remember, the Tai Chi is for practical use in your everyday life. So if you come from that place of tension and you try and fix it from that place of tension, then it's much harder for you. So now let's see what it's like if rather than coming from a place of tension, you came from a place of ease. So you'd be standing upright like this, and then you allow yourself just to gently flow like a gentle breeze swaying willow. A gentle breeze swaying willow. And you start to flow, move and sway. So the muscles in your body then become loose. Yeah? So you're not tightening your muscles. Then allow the waist to be loose. So you start to flow and move like a wave in the sea. And so just imagine a wave in the sea, or like a dolphin literally flowing over the waves, what that would feel like. So if you were flowing with the waves of the movement and then you started to make this movement, the body would start to literally go in this wave. It would flow like this. Then from that flow, the mind just gives a gentle instruction for the body to flow over and touch the ground. That's your mind-body connection. The mind is gently engaged in and invested in the flow of your movement, not being distracted by something else. And definitely not thinking, I can't touch my toes. Because the moment you think, I can't touch my toes, you've got mental tension, physical tension, and then it becomes quite difficult to do. So you get into that flow, and as you get into that flow, you just allow the body then to flow down and then flow up. You don't have to be down there for long, but just flow like this. Loose muscles, okay, the muscles aren't tight. Loose waist, okay. Not thinking about anything, because you're not thinking about touching your toes. You're just allowing the body to flow into that movement. Good. And then come back up, and then just return back to Wu Ji, and you can allow the body and the movement just to gently now sway and flow around. As your body is then further introduced to the looseness and flow. And then come back to stillness. Good. And then gently think of that Dantian area. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time on that with you today, because that is one of the most important sort of principles and parts of your Tai Chi practice, which is to learn how to introduce yourself to flow through that mind-body connection without becoming tense. And when you become tense, you notice things are harder, so you make that decision to relax yourself physically, mentally and emotionally, let your energy flow a little bit easier, and then when you do that, your Tai Chi practice becomes much easier. One of the masters in the past said, what's so hard about Tai Chi when energy flows? And that's true, because if you try and do your grasp in the sparrow's tail, from a mechanical point of view, it's very difficult. So let's try this. So from a mechanical point of view, think about the first movement. Legs come out, legs come down, step down, shift weight, through waist, into the arms, arms come up, turn the hands, sink down, hands come together, push out, arms separate, sink down, push, come back into that wuji position. Yeah? So everything's looking very blocky, feels very blocky, not very smooth because the brain is trying to overthink it. Imagine now that you'd been doing Tai Chi for years, okay? And close your eyes and just feel what that would feel like if the body already knew how to do all of that. So you didn't have to think your way through it, but the energy just flowed for you. The information just flowed for you. And then you can open your eyes, and it doesn't matter how neat your movement is now. What's important is that you can do something a little bit more in flow without thinking about it. So from here, just even from a movement and sway, just allow the body to start to flow out, yeah, and then flow into this movement here. So you're not having to think about it. The body is just flowing. Everything's flowing because everything is connected as one here, okay? Not having to think about it, just flowing the same as you did with the low hand touches the ground, yeah? Everything is just flowing. You've got that water flowing through. You could do it quite quickly, actually, if you wanted to. Everything just flowing, yeah? Or slow flow. Slow flow. Good. Okay, and then come back into that wuji again. Let the muscles be loose. Relaxed. Let the waist be loose. Let the mind be relaxed. Let the breath be relaxed. Smile from your heart. Gently come to stillness. Return to your dantian. Allow your awareness to rest gently at the dantian as you breathe in and you breathe out. Simple. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then bring your palms together, rub your palms together. Place them over your eyes, dab the eyes, massage around the rims of the face and the head, and then walk briskly around. So you've got another part of your Tai Chi practice now, which is how to move into the grasp in the sparrow's tail with that looseness and flow. So already your Tai Chi starts to feel better. So we looked at the stances, stance training, the Chan Chuan in the Tai Chi practice and also in the Shaolin Kung Fu practice is a way to build up the inner strength in the body as well. So all your stance training is done in a relaxed way. Mind relaxed, breath relaxed, body relaxed, muscles relaxed, everything's relaxed. And the bow arrow stance, so we just remind ourselves of the bow arrow stance. So the bow arrow stance is we shift the weight onto our back leg. We step out the front foot so it's in line with the back leg. And then with a nice loose waist, loose muscles, we turn the body coming into this bow arrow stance. So the muscles at the back of the spine are released. So we're not leaning back to tighten the muscles. The weight distribution is roughly 50-50. You don't have to measure it exactly, just you know that your weight's on both the feet. You're not leaning your knee over your ankle. This would be bad. Sometimes in Tai Chi you see people doing this a lot, and this isn't so good. So, from your bow arrow stance, you can just come up into your mirror hands now. Yeah, your immortal wave sleeves, or your ward off. Good. From here, shift the weight onto your front foot, turn your back foot, and as you turn from the waist, you turn the other foot, and your hands, you see, as you turn your waist, your hands come to face the other way. So from here, as you turn your waist, the hands naturally come here. And you see how you've got that body connection now, just from shifting your waist and your hands move with you. So you don't have to mechanically move your hands and then your waist, because this wouldn't be a smooth movement. Everything just happens through that turning of the waist. Loose waist, very important. Muscles relax, very important. Shifting weight from the back through the body, through the waist. Very good. And then from here, we come into the false leg. The weight is hardly anything really on that front leg. The weight's on the back leg. We can shift to the other side by turning the foot, shifting the weight over, coming into a false leg on the other side. From here, we can turn that front foot and come into a unicorn step. From here, change the weight, shift, turn on your toes, and come into a unicorn step on the other side. The hand can still be in the immortal waist sleeve or in here into the guard hand. Very good. From here, we can come up into the crane. White crane spreads wings. Good. Come down into your false leg. Come across the other side and then up. Remember, there's this pushing up from the floor, from the dantian. So you get that rising up and that spreading. Very good. The 4-6 stance, or 6-4 stance, 4-6 stance, 60% on the back, 40% on the front. Here. Good. Shift the weight across over here. Turn to the other side. Again, 60% on the back, 40% on the front. Good. From here, come into that 3-circle stance. 3-circle stance. Good. From the 3-circle stance, come back into your Wu Ji. Eyes closed, mouth gently open, and practicing that relaxing. The relaxing of the body, relaxing of the mind, relaxing of the breath. Practicing being here and now, physically, mentally, and emotionally relaxed. Which doesn't mean to say that things aren't going on in your life. It just means that whilst you're practicing, your awareness is with you here and now, nowhere else. You spend some time in Wu Ji, gently thinking of the dantian. Rub your palms together. Place them over the eyes. Massage around the face and the head. Good. And then have a little wander around. Excellent. Okay, so Tai Chi practice really coming along now, working on all the principles of our Tai Chi in order to get things flowing more freely. So just have a little movement around now on your own with the grasping the sparrow's tail and feeling what that feels like for you. And it doesn't matter if you've got the movements in the right sequence or not right now, but just see what it's like for you to step out. And you might choose to just feel what it feels first of all, just to open up and shift the weight like this. Oh, what's that like for me? Is that smooth? Or as I move up, do I feel out of balance or clunky? What can I do to smooth that movement out? So you don't have to rush ahead in your practice, but you can take each part of your practice to get more skillful in that. And that's a really good way of doing it. When I first started practicing my Kung Fu and Tai Chi, I would take each part and I would just practice that over and over again until it felt right for me. And then, of course, over the years of practice, it's still improving. It's not stopping for me. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing martial arts or other things as well. Is that it's a continual practice for me. It's an education. It's an education for my body, mind systems in order to learn ways to be able to move more at ease. Because that was one of my goals in life, was to be able to deal with life with more ease. Many, many years ago when I was in business, I wasn't able to deal with life with such ease because I would get really stressed out by stuff. And of course that was no good for my health, no good for anybody else's well-being either. So I needed to find ways to be able to move through life, transition through life, deal with things in life much more smoothly. So when it comes to situations like this with the COVID-19 and there's a lot of disturbances around, I have my practice as a way to be able to remain calm. And it keeps just bringing me back to the moment all the time. So just practice in the moment. What's it feel like for you just to step out? What's it feel like just to step out? So you just might go, I move from here, it's a little bit clunky. Okay, what do I need? Slow down. Okay, slow down. Okay, breath, body, looseness. What does that feel like? Foot down. Nice. Okay. If I just shift my weight now, what does that feel like? Okay, nice and smooth. Okay, I feel this relaxation through here. Let's just play with this movement for a little while and feel what that feels like. What does that feel like? What is it like if I move my leg out a little bit further for me? Is that easier on my hips? Is that going to be easier for me right now? So making adjustments for yourself as well so that your movement can become smooth. We can do Tai Chi in the bow arrow stance, but sometimes this is hard for people to get the loosed waist. Or you can come into your 4-6 stance and you can do it from here for a shorter stance, or a little bit longer like the bow arrow, but a wider stance. Okay, I've got this movement now. Feels nice, moving from my waist. What's it like if I add my hands in for that first movement? The ward off. What does that feel like? Nice. What does it feel like if I just sink down for the next movement here? Very good. Or if I want to have the hands touching the wrist. So either holding the pearl like this or sinking down like this. What does this feel like? Do I feel smooth? Nice. Next movement, just gently pushing out here. Very good. What does that feel like if I just practice this a few times? Nice. Good. Now the arms come out here. Am I relaxed in my shoulders? My chest open? Yes, this feels nice. What does my stance feel like? Nice. Okay, if I sink down now from my waist, what does that feel like? How do I need to adjust myself in order to work on this? Good. If I turn my hands and then turn my waist, you can see as I turn my waist without moving my arms, there's a push from my waist rather than a push from my hands. Nice. Let's come back to the start for a moment and just feel what that feels like now. If you start off shifting the weight, holding the ball. Good. Arms come out, foot comes out, heel first, weight still on this back leg. Shifting as I turn, sinking, push, separate, sink down, turn. Very nice. I can sink now, turn here, always turning in the waist, sinking with the waist, pushing. Very good. Come back into that wuji, using your gathering the cosmos, if you like. Using gathering of the cosmos. Very good. What does it feel like the other way, if I move the other way? If I move my leg out here, what does that feel like? Nice, okay. If I come into holding the ball, leg comes out, step down, here, stepping down, foot goes down, shifting the weight, turn, sink. Good, just practicing this a few times. What does this feel like? Good, nice. I need to smooth out my hips a little bit more here as I turn. Good. Turn, hand coming onto the inside of the wrist here, gently pushing out, separate, sink, turn the waist again. Come back into that original position here, so you're holding the ball. Turn, you make this nice and slow. Good. Turn, separate, sink, turn. Turn from the waist. Good. Flow into the ward off, sinking down, pushing out, separate. Good. So just practice this a few times now, just smoothly. Just allow yourself to flow a little bit more with the movement. Okay? Enjoying that flowing movement. Good. Good. Making the hand contact if that helps you. So if it helps you to keep that contact so you can remember it, that's fine. You can do that. So as you come down, contact, 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 sink, turn. Or not contact but spread. Good. 1, 3, 4. Good. Flowing. 1. Here, flow. Good. Gather the cosmos. 3 times. Good. 3 times. And then just remaining back in Wuji. Just remain in Wuji. And just take this time at the moment to realize how far you've already come. You may or may not appreciate how many tools, how many Tai Chi tools, how many useful tools you've now got in your bag. But you've got a lot of tools now in your bag to be able to use to help you deal with tensions and stress and anxiety, ways of releasing tensions, ways of coming back to the here and now, ways of regulating your breath, ways of affecting your mind, your nervous system, and your body and your immune system. You've got a lot of things now that you can use if you choose to use them. And so nobody's going to be forcing you, and I'm not going to be checking up on you to see whether or not you're practicing your Tai Chi each day. Of course, that's down to you to decide whether or not you find or feel or believe that this can be a useful thing for you, as it has been for hundreds and thousands or millions of people around the world as well. But see how your Tai Chi is for you. Make it your own practice. You don't have to fix it in any way. This grasping sparrow's tail set is just a set of movements in to allow you to practice some of those Tai Chi principles. But the entering the way, smiling from the heart, accumulating your energy, training the spirit, these are the important things in terms of using your Tai Chi practice for everyday life. You can use your breath control as a way just to bring yourself back to the center. Practice loosening your muscles when you feel tight, adjusting your stance when you feel out of alignment. So Thank you for joining me for all the Tai Chi lessons, and I wish you the very best in your Tai Chi practice, and you can always get in contact with me should you wish to do so. So, happy practicing.